Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. But today my voice might bug you because I have cold and fever both, but these videos have to keep going. And today we are discussing about money, mindset, and your purpose. Let's start first with the purpose. About goals. Goals are pretty vague and volatile, as much as I sound offending at this, but it is true. I have had many goals which I set up for myself at a particular duration. Like I have to achieve this by the end of this year. I have to achieve this by 5 year time, or I have to achieve this much in a decade. And I have always heard that goals kind of set you on a path, checks you every day, but it's totally wrong. Goals are pretty much vague and many of the time it's just materialistic. Things like I want a bike, things like I want a car, things like I want this apartment, I want this kind of furniture in there, and XYZ stuff. So usually goals are materialistic. And the reason why I say always no to go for materialistic things is because it's pretty vague and empty throughout. Let's say you today set a goal and you set the timeline or the deadline for 1 year. So you have to achieve your goals in a year, and you go on a journey, you embark on a path, but you realize it's pretty empty. You don't feel anything while going for those goals, or you don't feel the journey is alive. It seems like a dead thing. And even after achieving those goals, your life pretty much seems dead. It's empty. It's empty throughout the road. The thing that makes these journeys or this embarking on a path thing very motivational or very amazing, or a journey that reminds you of something, or a journey that shifts a person, is usually the one where there is a purpose. Now, purpose is a thing that you might have heard a lot of times and you might have misunderstood it a lot of times. The thing about purpose is that it is a question mark that you are running behind, and it motivates you enough that you work for that question and just in order for that curiosity, just in order to look for that answer for your question mark. Now, purposes can be very different of why that is created in your life by the societal conditions that you might have faced. That why is this racial discrimination against me? I have to fight against it. That becomes a purpose. Why is this the particular thing going wrong in my life? Or why is this thing wrong in my life? Why am I not being academically good in my life? That becomes a purpose for some people. Some people might see some amazing figures or rational figures in their life, and they might embark on a journey to become something even better for them, and something maybe patriotic enough to do something for the country. A question mark, a big shot, a moonshot, which I say. And it's usually for a question. It's not for some materialistic thing that I want $1 million. I want to do this much stuff. I want to become a prime. It's not a materialistic thing. It's like there are two type of things, right? Let's say it's all about nationality. Okay, then one is becoming a prime minister or president of a country, and another is trying to change the country. You understand the difference. The purpose is to change the country, and the materialistic goal is to be a prime minister or president. And as much as enjoyment you might find in the purpose of changing the country, you might not be able to find in the vague and empty path of just trying to be a PM or a president. And this is the beauty of purpose. It kind of wakes you up every day. It kind of makes you go through that jerk feeling that, oh, I don't want to do anything today. But that question mark or the curiosity in you makes you go for that thing that you have to do today in order for whatever thing you are trying to solve or fulfill in your life. And it's usually a question mark. It's a hidden feeling that you are trying to fulfill. And every time it's good to have that rational feeling instead of a vague feeling or something that's created by some sort of fallacy. You know what I'm trying to say. Instead of preaching for something wrong, instead of having a wrong question, it's always good to find your purpose and to have a right question to run for. Like as I said, to change your country and to be a better one is a good thing, but to do something irrational is pretty bad. And that's why I say it's very rational as well as it's very feeling and whatever I say, it's like emotion driven when it comes to getting your purpose. But like, sometimes when you're a kid and you see your parents getting demeaned by someone, that sort of gets a purpose in your life to to get your parents at certain level and xyz. So it's usually emotionally driven, but at the same time I think it should be a bit rational so that you don't embark on a wrong journey. Now, the another thing which comes is mindset is very related to purpose, matter of fact. The mindset is basically something that it's sort of like discipline, but it's sort of like how your brain works or how your mind works when it comes to actually going for those purposes or goals which you might have. Now, goals, as I said, is a pretty vague term, and it's a thing that you might not achieve, but the journey is the big thing. And I know this sounds very cliche, but it is actually the thing. And I understand this sounds very wrong. This sounds very, oh, but it just makes no sense to not being able to pay your rent, but oh, I am a different person. I know it doesn't sound good practically, but I promise you, instead of having vague goals, it's better to be fulfilled in your life with your purpose, or just running behind a purpose or a question that you want to solve, something that you want to fulfill in your life. It's better always to go in that direction. And that's where the another topic, which is mindset, comes in. Because how much driven are you to achieve those goals? How much driven are you to achieve that purpose in your life? How much driven are you to fulfill that hole, or that what do I say, that void in you, is what essentially mindset is. And mindset is something, it's simply, and as much as practically as I said, it's like how willing are you to wake up the next day and to do the things that you have to do in order to fulfill that purpose in your life. Simple definition according to me of mindset is, how willing are you to get up next day, do the same tasks with discipline, with the same amount of efficiency you had yesterday, or even better efficiency, and then boom, that's what mindset does. And many times, because your why, your purpose is not properly figured out, or you don't even have a purpose, eventually you just have goals and you are trying to achieve them, but you don't have a purpose, you don't have a why on that journey, and that's why your mindset sucks. That's why you cannot get that discipline in your life, because why would you do something again and again if you don't have a strong why to do it? You know, when I see my parents getting demeaned by someone, that's what makes me do the stuff every day. And I know this might sound very ridiculous, but to some kids, or some kind of a person who's being racially, discriminated at some point of age, someone who has been through different things, or someone who has been kind of at the lower parts of society, he or she would know how these things would feel, and these things sort of leave an impression in your head, which is a strong why for people to do big things in their life. And that's why I say it's very rationally driven topic when it comes to us. Because if you go irrational in your why, then you might just embark on a very wrong journey, and you might be someone like a very wrong person in the history. Not talking about that. The thing about mindset is, it won't be an issue if you have your why sorted out. If you don't have your purpose, your strong why, if you never have that, then mindset can be a tricky thing, because mindset's first step is discipline. If you want discipline in your life, you have to somehow just wake up and do those things again and again. It might be boring as fuck to sit in front of camera and record this video right now, but it is a task I have to do. Why do I have to do? Because I have a purpose. Because I want to just help someone who's randomly watching this video right now. And maybe help myself when I speak these things out. And clear my speech. Maybe get better at something. Whatever my why is. If it getting solved slowly, then I have to do those tasks again and again to fill that void that I have been seeking through these questions. And that's where the third thing comes in. Now, the materialistic thing is money. Let me just vividly touch the topic of, does money buy happiness? The answer is, happiness is divided into two portions, according to me. Once again, happiness can be divided into two portions. One is the materialistic happiness, which we usually humans are very tendencies to, because we have seen things around us. We have seen things which usually change themselves. We have seen society change themselves according to materialistic things you have. Okay, let's say you come out of walking through, or you come out of like a weird ass car, instead of you come out of a Mercedes driven with a Maybach or something like that. There's a difference in the society, and every human wants to feel that upper echelon of things, right? Every human wants to feel that, and that's why it becomes a usual thing in us, where we tend to go for this materialistic happiness, but the other part of happiness is to have that eternal happiness, is to have that ikagai side of things. Okay, let's divide it into both of those topics and quickly discuss about that. Now, both are equally important, by the way. As much as people love to say that, yeah, money buys happiness, it is not completely true. And people who say money does not buy happiness is also not completely true. It's 50-50. Yeah, money buys half of the portion of happiness for you, but the rest of the 50% of happiness could never be achieved practically with money. It's something eternal. It's something that has nothing to do with money. It's something like to spend time with your family. It's something to go on a it it is to go on late night walks while listening to music in my head, which cannot be changed if I have $1 million or if I have $0, right? It just makes no sense. It is something which I can do. But let's say after earning $1 million I am getting locked up in a jail because of something illegal I did, or let's say I just have to stay at my home because of the work that I have to do because of my $100 million empire. Then it's pretty shit life for me because I'm not able to do that one thing which I enjoy the most, which is walking at late night with my headphones on and listening to music while walking. I cannot do that. And I know this might seem very ridiculous, but there are some this small things which give you eternal happiness. It doesn't matter how much money you have or not, right? Like having the food of your grandmother or something like that. You know, you go to visit your grandma, you eat that food which you rarely eat in a year. It has some different corner or soft corner in your heart. These are the things which are eternal. This cannot be achieved with money or with fame, anything. These things usually stay very different, like having your kid born in front of you, first time your kid calling you mom, dad, or something like that. It hits different and it cannot be achieved with money at any time, right? So happiness is divided into two portions. But when it comes to money, I think it's completely ridiculous when people say that money can completely buy happiness, which we discussed about. But at the same time, you must remember that money is literally for materialistic things. Like, as much as I don't want to sound mad, but it's true, right? Like, if you want food, it's practical that yeah, you want food, but you want the best food is materialistic. If you want the best clothes, it's materialistic. If you want the best of the best things, if you want the best car, the best offers, XYZ, it is materialistic. But at the same time, why do these materialistic things or money becomes an important factor when it comes to your lives? Because it attaches itself with the sort of status that you have in your life. Money usually attaches, or things that you buy from money usually attaches itself with a huge status. So let's say I have a Patek Philippe in my head. I'm getting out of a Rolls Royce Cullinan, which is driven by a chauffeur. I'm wearing a suit that puts me in a different echelon of society, that you look at me and you think, oh, this guy is something, he has made it in his life, I get the respect I want. And humans usually tend to find these emotions very strong in their life when it comes to respect, when it comes to dignity, when it comes to people usually bending with their knees in front of you. As much as ridiculous as this sounds, humans genuinely enjoy this. People genuinely enjoy this. You might say no to me, but you even enjoy it when someone goes on their knees and say, yes, sir, yes, king, say it to me. You enjoy it. As much as narcissistic as this sounds, you enjoy it. And that's why you want good cars. That's why, because you want people to notice you as different or something you have achieved different in your life. And these are the things which distracts people. I usually give the example of Lamine Yamal, but we won't talk about football things right now. But the thing is, there are many distractions in your life. Okay. Now, the thing is, if you don't have a strong why, distractions would carry you in some way or the other into a very irrational path that you don't want to go, but you eventually go over there because you don't have a strong why. And that's why I say, whether you have a lot of money, it can go wrong. Whether you have a lot of fixed mindset that you don't want to grow at some point, like fixed mindset is essentially a thing where you don't want to change with things. You just think you are the correct one. You have that fixed sort of way or programming that your brain or mind works in. I don't want to change it. You don't have growth mindset. You have a fixed mindset, right? You're going to grow with things. You don't want to push past your limits, right? So if it's really a thing that money, you might have a lot, but it can go wrong. You might have mindset, very hard of a mindset like David Goggins, it can go wrong. But a thing that cannot ever go wrong is to have a strong why with rational opinions, and something that is built with you, your emotional void, or something that you want to fulfill in your life. And yeah, I mean, don't make it irrational, like I want to bomb some country, right? I mean, that's what I was eventually trying to avoid in this entire session. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a few things. That's it for this video. I hope you'll have a good day. I hope you'll have a good week. Keep working and find your why. That's it. Bye. Have a nice day.